District. Back to open meeting at 7:03 p.m. We have no public participation. See, we have no staff reports. We will now have approval of the minutes of the June 23rd, 2016 board meeting. Call for a motion.
Second.
It was moved by Ms. Ambrose and second by Dr. Kellogg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes have passed for June 23rd, 2016 board meeting. Consent agenda. The following items, which are a routine and or recurring nature, have been designated consent agenda items by the board president for policy being local. All of the items in the consent agenda will be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a trustee, in which the event the item or items will be withdrawn immediately for individual consideration in its normal sequence after the items not requiring separate discussion have been acted upon. I would like to, I need a motion.
Second.
A motion was made by Ms. Ambrose and second by Mr. Barty. Do we have any items for discussion?
Yes, President Lofton, I'd like to pull item number 7.
Item 15 and 16.
Okay, the first item we'll be discussing is item number 7 with Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 7, if the superintendent of school will give me more clarification on why and exactly what they're going to be doing with the playgrounds at those schools, those 4 elementary schools.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 7, and that is to consider rubber mulch for the playground at 4 of our elementary schools, those being Wheatley, Queen, Lee, and Dowling Elementary. All other schools have the mulch already, especially when we built our new schools or renovated, those schools already had it. This mulch is rubber mulch that will be placed on the playground for our students. At this time, our playgrounds are not in a condition to play. One of them is even closed down, and that's Wheatley. It is a playground. It's made from rubber tires, which we check. It doesn't have any poisonous gases or anything in it. It has a 12-year color lock guarantee. It has a protective coating on it, and especially I think it's a 6-inch depth, and that is for when students do fall. It's from 9 to 12 feet in the air. If they fall on this, it would not get. I'm not going to say they're not going to get hurt, but it is more. It's tougher for them to get hurt on it. It is IPERMA certified, which is a certification that is given to the mulch company for that rubber mulch. And I'm not sure if Mr. Ruley has more information on the mulch, where he could come up.
Yeah, would you come up
Mr.
with
Ruley?
Hey, thank you, Dr. Cordery. Mr. Ruley, my question with the mulch that's in those playgrounds, and I know each and every trustee here want our students to be safe, actually when they're on those playgrounds, but my question, we have mulch field on those playgrounds now. How can you assure the board, or we can assure the community that the upkeep of those playgrounds, where we don't have to go and pay this amount and waste taxpayers' money if they already have mulch there now, currently here?
Okay, as the safety manager, I keep track of the playgrounds throughout the district. That's many areas. And over the past years, the mulch we were using before, it lasts for a while, but it deteriorates. This type of mulch here, it'll last longer. And the maintenance part of it is lower upkeep for them. All they have to do really, I'd say maybe once a year, twice a year, just go in there and kind of fluff it up a little bit, in other words. But the mulch itself, I'm familiar with it. It's completely safe for the children. like Dr. Porter mentioned a while ago, if one was to fall, it kind of breaks the impact. The material it's made of, it kind of, if a child was to fall, it kind of breaks the impact. But it's, as far as I'm concerned, safety-wise, completely safe, and to maintain it, it's going to be easily to maintain. This other type of mulch over the years, it would more or less deteriorate, and it would turn into like a sand. And grass is growing through that thing, something you wouldn't believe. But this stuff here, and like Dr. Porter said earlier, a while ago, it was used in some of the new schools, and it's holding up a whole lot better.
Okay. So the upkeep, you said maybe once a year for that, and
At least once a year, just go kind of stir it up a little bit, you know.
Okay. And with the playground, will they be doing any upkeep with the actual playground the kids are going to be playing on with this amount of money?
Yes, we're going to continue doing preventive maintenance on the playground, checking it periodically. I check it often with my periodic surveillance of the playground. If I see anything out of place, if I see a bolt missing, it's got to be replaced, because we can't allow the children to play on faulty equipment.
Thank you, President Long.
Thank you, Mr. Rui. So do we anticipate all playgrounds open as of the first day of school?
I hope so. I hope so.
Can we make that happen?
We're going to try. We're going to try.
Thank you.
Mr. Rui, what is the warranty that we have? I know you said we have a 12-year, but is that the warranty that we're getting for it, or for the mulch on the playground?
I don't know the exact warranty right now. All I have in front of me is the tonnage that they're going to put in each playground. But I don't see the warranty.
No, it's a lifetime, but it is a 12-year color warranty. It shades colors, it changes colors.
At this time, how many playgrounds do we have out?
Oh. I would say around 8 to 10. If I remember correctly.
Mr. Rubin, looking at the shape of the playgrounds, would you say that the condition currently is purely because of neglect? Because I visited all the campuses, and I do often, and I'm convinced spending $127,000 over 4 school playgrounds is a little excessive, when the root cause of it is failure to maintain. How or what plan do we have in place? Because this is what my suggestion is. A plan should be put in place to maintain those playgrounds. That saves the district money. That saves the taxpayer money. This is a quick fix. It doesn't solve or resolve a long-term issue, and that's failure to maintain. And you said the year will fluff it up and it'll look good. Well, what I understand about the weeds that are growing in those playgrounds, if they would simply round up, kill the weed, come back with a weed eater, add more mulch, it would last, and I did the numbers and I shared it with the superintendent, we would spend far less money in 20 years than $127,000. In 20 years of just basic maintenance, that includes manpower, routine weed eating, and putting in a substance like cypress mulch, which doesn't deteriorate or rot. In 20 years, we'll spend less than $127,000. My suggestion in conversation, and I'm asking, is there another solution to resolve this issue with playgrounds? Because this is a quick fix.
Right.
And if this is how we're going to be doing the rest of the schools, because in last school year, day 1 of school, grass was not even cut. I understand we had a lot of water, a lot of rain. Now we're here, we want to spend more money on something to solve the problem, but we're not solving the problem. We're just spending money.
And I understand what you said, Mr. Gilbert, but the thing about it is,
Whatever you put down, you're gonna have to maintain. And I do agree, we have to have a system in place to check these things out frequently. Keep on top of it. That's where our preventive maintenance plan comes in. Like I say, I do a lot of inspections throughout the school. We have our yard department, Mr. Singleton. He goes and inspects. And the thing about it is, some of the equipment on the playground, you know, after wear and tear, out in the heat, you know, it gets deteriorated, just like the mulch. You know, it will eventually break down. But the thing about it is, I don't know of any product you would put down to where it would last forever. You know, you got to maintain it. And that's the whole point. The way I look at it, if the district's going to pay $127,000 on this, we as the maintenance department, we got to do our best to maintain this. Keep on maintaining. You know, and you mentioned Roundup. I personally wouldn't recommend to put Roundup. That's my own personal, especially when you got children, you know, around in the playground. That's my personal preference. But like I said a while ago, you've got to keep it maintained, because it won't last forever. If you don't maintain it, it's going to go down quick. You've got to keep on it, and steadily maintain it.
And that matter what product you put on the ground, you still got to maintain it. And that's your assessment. Said no matter what product you use, you still have to
To a
maintain it.
certain point, you're going to have to keep maintaining. But my thing is, don't maintain it in January and don't worry about it the rest of the year. No. Every so many months, check it out, see how it's doing. But
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay. Next item we have. No,
You took them out to discuss.
I took them out to
They're
discuss.
all on the table.
Yeah, I just put it out once for discussion. We didn't have to vote.
Well, we can't do that, man, because if we have a good bid, we have to vote.
No, I never put them out.
They,
Put it at just
your
for
motion
discussion.
put everything on the table. He asked what three do you want, which ones
So
do
we
you
gotta
want
vote
to
on
discuss?
individual. That's what
No,
I'm saying.
they're all on the table.
We want to vote on those individual.
Okay.
So you have seven, you have 16, 15, and 16.
Right, so.
We don't want to combine them.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, so
you
we
need
will
to
pull
those
number 7.
And pull number 7,
I'll pull
number
number
15, number 16.
Yeah, so we
And go
will.
ahead and vote on your consent agenda
Okay,
first,
so-
and come back to those.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna vote, I need a motion to vote on items.
No, you have a motion.
I have a motion on the floor already.
Yeah.
It's for items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14.
I make a motion to accept those consent agenda.
I'm sorry, the motion.
There's already a motion on
I'm
the
sorry, the motion is second. I just need a vote on those consent agenda items. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, item number 7, since we haven't discussed it, is for vote.
motion. No,
I need a motion.
I make
Item
a
number 7.
So moved.
All in favor?
Second.
Yeah, I had a second. Motion was made by Ms. Ambrose, second by Dr. Kinlaw. All in favor for item number 7, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
no.
Item passed 4-2. Now we have item number 15. Can we combine 15 and 16 since they're
It's
both
up to you. You need a motion to put them on the
basically
floor.
talking about the same thing? I need a motion on the floor for items 15 and 16.
Second.
Motion was made by Ms. Ambrose, second by Dr. Kinlaw. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, President Laughlin. We are happy to have with us tonight C3. I know Mr. Bart Owens and Ms. Megan Gillian, and there's another gentleman here that they will introduce, and they're going to talk about GT Logistics. And I'm going to ask Bart to come forward and give us some information on what you're asking and how can you give assistance. And we also have Mr. O'Hanlon here, one of our consultants that works for the Port Arthur Independent School District, and we welcome you here tonight as well, Mr. O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Dr. Porter, members of the board. I guess it's kind of interesting that I'm from Port Arthur. Both my grandfathers retired from Gulf Oil, and I attended kindergarten, first grade at Sam Houston. In the second grade, we moved to Beaumont, and I went to Dingman, MacArthur, and then on to Forest Park. I've lived in Beaumont the rest of my life. I'm one of the founding partners of GT Logistics in Port Arthur. In 2010, we established GT and began to develop a rail, barge, and ship terminal that we saw would explore some logistical opportunities between different refineries and petrochemical industry in Southeast Texas. Today, we employ about 27 employees. That got as high as 40 employees when we were really busy with the oil price being up. That's somewhat waning now as you watch on your local news, I'm sure, every day. GT in 2014 started a process of working with a few other companies to take on a majority partner to expand our opportunities and grow significantly in this market, and that's the midstream industry. We're between the producer and the refiner, or the refiner and the consumer. We move product, we don't own product, we don't make, or for the most part, refine product. We do some other things that involve some process, but on a limited basis. In our search, we found Howard Energy Partners in San Antonio. Howard's about a $2 billion company now, also started in 2010. Howard bought a majority share of GT in 2015, and that process closed on July 25th. I then became from a minority partner to a real minority partner, but I'm still an equity partner and legacy shareholder and one of the founders of GT. I'm happy to have done what we've done in Port Arthur. We took the old Arco Polymers plant, some of you may know it as, some of you may know it as Lyndale, or even Ecostar. That plant was built in 1951 by Copplers. 11 title holders held it since then. We purchased in 2010 from Lyndale. Today, we've deployed quite a bit of capital out there, but we needed a bigger partner. Howard come along and helped us to seek some larger opportunities. Today, I'm here to talk to you about a project that we need your help on. We have a few options to locate this project up and down the Gulf Coast. Being from Port Arthur and living in Beaumont, I don't want to spend the next 5 years in New Orleans or Corpus or Brownsville. I'd kind of like to do it here at home. And so that's why I said, let me go down there and talk to everyone in Port Arthur and kind of tell them my story. I'll read you kind of a public comment that I'm authorized to give by Howard Energy, and it goes as follows. GT Logistics is evaluating the feasibility of an additional $1 billion in investments in its Port Arthur and Jefferson County operation over the next few years for a series of projects ranging from the storage, transportation, and processing of refined products to the treatment and shipment of refinery-generated byproducts. The support of State of Texas, Jefferson County, City of Port Arthur, and the Port Arthur School Board, as well as the local port navigation and drainage district authorities, ensures financial viability of the proposed project and is key to GT's final decision to locate the proposed improvements at our Jefferson County terminal. Under the proposed taxing agreements, tax incentive will only be triggered as GT moves forward with further investment. If implemented in total, more than $1 billion of investment would create an estimated 140 permanent jobs at the facility and support an estimated 320 plus engineering and construction jobs. GT is willing, along with Howard Energy, to make additional public comments regarding the proposed expansion investment once finalized negotiations with its customers and clients are concluded. Having said that, GT has a substantial commitment at this point with Howard to come to Port Arthur and build this project. Make no mistake, I humbly ask for your incentive to help us make this project happen. So I kind of wanted to come down here, and I've been working with Dr. Portery for a month or so, trying to convey the information across to you guys where you'd have the information in front of you. Having said that, the 313 application we submitted, your consultant is in receive of, and we have Megan and John are involved in my side of preparing the application. So if there's any questions, comments, or anything I can answer for you, that's why I'm here.
Ms. Adams.
Good afternoon, good evening, thank you so much. For the record again, sir, would you tell me your name?
Bart Owens.
Owens?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Owens.
Don't check my grades at St. Houston.
Okay.
I talk too much.
Okay. For the benefit of the taxpayers of PISD and the citizens of Port Arthur as well, now I've heard your public comment that you were authorized to make, but for their benefit, tell us what you're asking for, why you're asking it, how it would benefit the citizens of Port Arthur and PISD.
Okay. I guess the best way to put that is we're asking you to abate our taxes for up to 10 years or whatever within the law, the legal limit of the law, to help us get enough margin in this project to build it, put a bunch of people to work, and bring more industry to Port Arthur. You know, that's kind of the sum of all questions. Much of our margin is in the incentive, and it will allow us to probably make this thing work in Port Arthur.
We, PISD has not been immune from loopholes in the legislation. We have had to pay millions of dollars as a result of these legislations. So our district depends on partnerships, perhaps. And I guess my question is, well, my question to you is, in addition to what other incentives Port Arthur ISD could possibly have, are there other options for your company to come in and partner with us? In other words, if one of our schools are in need of something, is there an option for us to get on the phone and call Mr. Owens? Our Memorial High School needs a couple of extra computer labs.
Sure,
Is something like that?
let me speak specifically to that.
Okay.
In the last 5 years, well, 6 July 1st, since GT was founded, some of Dr. Porter's staff has reached out to GT and said, we have families, we have children that are underprivileged or possibly had a house fire one year and lost all their Christmas gifts. GT operated in the red for the last 3 years, significantly in the red. We were able to keep the project moving forward, make payroll, keep the number of employees where it was. We had process operators mowing grass on tractor, and that's to keep everybody working. At the same time, we responded to the call of the school district with the financial means that we had, and we provided things to students within your district and have for the last 6 years, as well as Commissioner Senegal's fundraisers at Christmas. And we've tried to do what we could. Certainly, we'll be glad to work with you on any project involving computers, computer labs. I'm like I said, I'm from here. I grew up within 20 miles of here, been here my whole life. Went to Lamar. First 9 years of my career was a policeman for the county. I've been in industry since then, so I'm humbled to be here. And it's a great project. I think it's a good opportunity for both of us. So having said that, does that help?
Yes, it does. Now, one other question. Of your 140 permanent jobs that you are anticipating, what percentage of that will go to Port Arthur?
That's a great question. Before GT, I ran Transmix Concrete in the region. And I don't know if any of you remember, but I worked for Representative Stiles. He was a pretty intense representative and very passionate about Southeast Texas. And he told me, Bart, you go down there to Port Arthur and you put as many Port Arthur people as you can to work. In my Port Arthur Dravo yard, which is down there in the Gulf Copper yard, that's a concrete plant, during the LNG expansion CB&I built for Golden Pass, we maintained an 85% plus Port Arthur resident driver ratio. So that was, and I was proud of it. I went to the socials at the Vietnamese church on Sunday afternoon and handed out applications and helped people fill them out. I went to this church and that social and that community center on the west side, and we were able to put a lot of people to work in Port Arthur. And we're, I'm committed to that today. We've got some great success stories at the terminal now with Port Arthur residents.
Will GT offer any type of training to our citizens in Port Arthur?
We do, and we do some of that. There's some opportunities Mr. Batiste has brought up through the Economic Development Corporation. You see some of the training opportunities that have occurred in some of the expansions. And of course, having been involved in the expansion projects in the concrete business, I transcend that same mindset here. Most of these jobs pay about $70,000 a year. They're operator type jobs. Some of them are very technical railroad jobs, so they require some FRA type credentialing, and we're prepared to walk people through that credentialing and get them licensed. Some of them, are qualified enough to operate major locomotives on Class 1 railroads when they leave us, and some leave us.
And how would a citizen be able to apply for one of those jobs?
Call me on my cell phone.
What is your cell number?
I'll give you 284-3824.
What is it?
You're the only person Port Arthur doesn't know. I'll give you each one of your cards.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Orton,
Yes, sir.
would you be in favor of a co-branding effort where if because we believe this is good for our county, we believe it's good for our citizens of Port Arthur, corporate sponsorship is something that our city, our district, has not been privy to in the past, where we have our good neighbors proud to advertise the fact that we support Port Arthur Independent School District. And we need partners like that actually will stand up and understand that the product that we're producing is going to end up in your plant at some point in time. How would you propose a co-branding effort? Or
That's another great question, but it's a great opportunity for us to work with Dr. Portery and the board to come up with a solution to that. To speak autonomously for Howard, it's hard for me to say what they will or will not do. What I do know is they're very supportive in the communities they're in, and they obviously kept me on and stuck me in Port Arthur because I know a lot of people here and said, we want to make this work with the community. And that's what we're willing to do. And I'll work with you on anything. I just gave my cell phone to you, and I encourage you to call me. And we'll start tomorrow or Monday morning, and we'll try and come up with an opportunity. And I'll go to San Antonio, and I was there today for the day of lunch. And it's, they're very committed to Port Arthur. If we can make this work on the incentive side, we're looking in New Orleans, we're looking in Port Arthur, we're looking in Corpus Christi. And they're all good opportunities, but like I said, I'm from here. And I got a lot of friends here, and I'd like to see it happen here. So that's why I wanted to come myself tonight and tell the story.
thank you, Mr. Owens. We're glad to have you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That
No further questions?
Thank you.
I'm going to ask that Mr. O'Hanlon please come and give us some information.
Mr. President, Dr. Porter, members of the board, I'm Kevin O'Hanlon. I've been doing these 313 agreements for y'all since 2003. I think I've done all of them but one. Ms. Chappelle did the other one. The way this works, you asked a good question with respect to taxpayers and all this other kind of stuff. Chapter 313 of the Texas Tax Code provides the districts the option of entering into something called tax limitation agreement with large manufacturing entities and some other categories like renewable energy and things like that. But it's manufacturing that's an issue here. If the project qualifies, the application is reviewed by the board and then by the controller's office. They do an economic impact analysis, and if it meets the criteria of the state, it's got to pay the state back in 25 years. By the way, it's in the law. The controller's office does that. Then they will issue a certificate which will authorize you to enter into a tax limitation agreement. The purpose of our purpose is to make sure that tax limit, in doing this, is to make sure that tax limitation agreement doesn't cost the school kids of this district a nickel.
Yes.
All right. The way we do that is that if it's a qualifying project, the state basically lets you take the abated value off your tax rolls for school finance purposes, and so what happens is that it doesn't affect your state aid calculations in terms of that. Now, it doesn't work perfectly. That is that because of the way the school finance works, there's lags, there's tax years, that the state doesn't cover 100% of the cost. The way that we do that is that we have a methodology that we put into our agreements that we've been putting in since 2002, and that requires the company to make up any loss to the kids. And the way the calculation, it takes a lot of words to lay out, but here's the concept. We pretend like the project wasn't built, and we see how much money the district would have gotten, make a calculation of how much the project would have received from in total under the school finance system, with the real values from this project on the tax roll with no abatement, okay? And we see how much money would have generated. Then we make one change in the calc, using actual tax rates, actual student counts, actual values for every other taxpayer in the district. We make one change and run that formula again. We put the tax limited value in the calculations. The only data point that changes in the entire calculation. If there's a loss, we require the company to pay. So we mathematically calculate every year in this agreement that whether or not there's going to be a loss in revenues to the district, and we require the company to make that up. Okay, so that gets you to zero. In addition to that, this district has done as many, virtually any other district in the state in these. The state allows the district to receive supplemental payments up to an amount of $100 per ADA for each year of the agreement. So we're going to be looking at that. We'll have to negotiate with the company. Getting a high supplemental payment amount is good to the extent that the company's here. In other words, if we run them off, then they don't build it here, then we're not going to get anything. So that's always a negotiating point with respect to that. But y'all have set a market with respect to that. In terms of the expectation, we'll be looking to try and to take care of that in terms of. So no loss. First rule is. Second, some gain, some incremental revenue, not subject to recapture, not subject to the vicissitudes of the school finance system. So extra money to provide for education in the scholastics. And finally, because the values that are, if the project gets built, the values that are placed on the tax rolls are fully taxable for INS or debt service tax purposes. So when additional property is placed on the tax rolls that become taxable, and this would for debt tax service purposes, then the taxpayers get an incremental reduction in their tax rate. So the answer to why did I not get a tax break? Well, if we get this to come, under the circumstances, they will actually get them. It's not huge, but it's not insignificant. That's in the first phase of the project in their application, they're going to put $700 million, or they're proposing to place $700 million on the tax rolls. There's a possibility in their cover letter that, as you heard tonight, that it might be extended to over $1 billion. That has an effect on debt service tax rates. And we'll model that. We'll have to study that a little bit. We'll let you know what that is as we go through the process, so that you can pass the HEB test or whatever, which is when a constituent comes up to you in a grocery store and says, "Why are you doing that? What's in it for me? You know, why are you giving away to the companies?" You got to answer the question a little bit in terms of what's out there. So we've done a bunch of these with Mo Casey on behalf of the district. We represent you in terms of that. We will, after we've analyzed the application, we will find out what your expectations and needs are. I've heard a bunch of them tonight. In terms, I took a few notes in terms of what I heard. We will explore those with the company as part of the negotiations in terms of that. The object here is just for us to get the biggest benefit that we can out of this that doesn't chase them out. Because if they don't build, then we don't get any of the theoretical benefits. So that's what we'll be looking to do in terms of negotiations. But you have our assurances, and we've been doing this since the statute got passed, that the kids won't lose a nickel as a result of your consideration of this. The matters for you tonight, the presentation of the application, just to fill this out. What happens is, if you accept the application, you are under no obligation to enter finally into an agreement. Because you're taking our money to do this, what I'd like to say is you are under an obligation to consider it in good faith. But if in the end a deal can't be made, a deal can't be made in terms of that. If you accept it, what we will do is we'll review the application. We'll get the superintendent to execute it. We will transmit it to the controller's office. Controller's office will review it for completeness and issue a certificate if they find it's in the state's best interest from a tax point of view, whether it pays off for the state and meets the state's criteria with respect to approval. If they do, they will issue a certificate saying they recommend the project. If they recommend it, but only after their recommendation, receiving the recommendation, will we take final action on that. We will, in that process, bring you a contract for your review. You do not approve this until you have all of that information. The economic impact study, controller's recommendations, our recommendations, a draft agreement that shows you exactly where they're coming from with respect to it. So the task tonight is to decide whether you're interested enough to consider it. But if you do, it creates no obligation ultimately to accept terms that are given to you and stuff. In the final analysis, the terms of the agreement, subject to limitations. There are some limitations that the state puts on it, like $100 per ADA. But the short of exceeding the permissible state terms, the terms that we negotiate and approve are ultimately going to be up to you.
Mr. President. Yes. Yes, sir. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was, I think along with our colleagues, of course I cannot speak for all of them, but I think as a board we're very interested in bringing these kinds of projects to Port Arthur and doing everything that we can to help it along, because we fully understand the impact, especially the economic impact that's going to be had upon our students here. So, Ms. Dorns, I love hearing these kinds of things, and I pray that the entire citizenry of Port Arthur wants to hear that. But as we go forward with the negotiations and the contract being put together, would it be possible as well to have some of the things that Trustee Ambrose and even Trustee Guillory talked about put as codicils in the agreement as far as Port Arthur employment, as far as some of those things so that we can keep track of it, so that we can all, as time goes on, or other board members are going to take our place, perhaps, or things will happen and transpire that will always be there to spur our memory as to what we talk about and what we have made, as we've made commitments one to another. So, even marriages have renewal vows. So perhaps we can have those clauses put into the contract agreement as it is being generated so that we can remember, and even as positions change, we'll always be made aware of what we have said going forward.
Yes, sir. And beyond, and I'll say this, that as you just heard, and this is not unusual, the applicant company is negotiating with both, with y'all plus the county plus the city. Each is going to have their own requirements, and what we'll do is try to figure out how to assemble the total of those requirements. What we want to be careful when we do this is we don't somehow negotiate a set of requirements that are conflicting with another political subdivision. So we'll have to be mindful of that, the kind of a total package in terms of what's out there, so we don't have to do, and we work together with all the other governmental entities. But we can, we'll keep track of it, all of these things. I took some notes with respect to the request, and we'll try and get what we can.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have items 15 and 16.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we accept items 15 and 16.
It was already,
You already got motion.
we already have a
We
motion.
already did, okay.
There are no further questions, no discussion. Call for a vote on items 15 and 16. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No, it was already, items 15 and 16 passed. Next up, we have personnel. Dr. Cody.
Thank you, Mr. President Lofton. I have given you the approval for employment of teachers that we are asking for your consideration.
Need a motion for personnel consider and if appropriate approval for employment of teachers.
I make a motion we accept the employment of teacher for the superintendent's school.
Second.
There's a motion made by Dr. Kinlaw and approved by, second by Mr. Guillory. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next.
I am asking for consideration for the position of Assistant Principal of Lee Elementary School, Mrs. Tamala Hebert.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Frank and approved, second by Dr. Kinlaw. All in favor? All opposed? Ms. Tamala, you has been approved as the assistant principal for Lee Elementary.
I am asking and recommending for the position of Secondary Science Supervisor, Mrs. Melanie Huzz.
Need a motion?
So second.
Motion was made by Mr. Guillory, second by Dr. Kinlaw for the secondary science supervisor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we have information.
Yes, for the month of June, average daily enrollment was 8898, average daily attendance 8339.
Let's go, we have adjournment.
Before we adjourn, Mr. President, if I may, we would like to let everyone know that the administration building, the Port Arthur Independent School District administration building will be closed from July 18th through July 29th. We will return to work August 1st, ready to greet teachers, ready to greet students back on August 22nd. Thank you, Mr. President.